First contact gone wrong. The massive viewing port of Nexus Prime revealed a sight that took Commander Elena Vasquez's breath away. Thousands of ships from dozens of species floated in perfect formation around the space station that served as the heart of the Stellar Federation. Each vessel represented a different civilization, their unique designs telling stories of evolution, culture, and technological advancement spanning millennia. Elena adjusted her dress uniform one final time and turned to face her small team. Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's leading xenobiologist, checked his presentation materials nervously. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, their communications specialist, ran final diagnostics on their translation equipment. Behind them, Captain Torres maintained his stoic expression, but Elena could see the pride in his eyes. They were making history today. "Remember, we're not just representing ourselves," Elena said, her voice carrying the weight of 7 billion hopes. "We're representing all of humanity, every dream, every achievement, every moment that brought us to the stars." The doors to the Grand Assembly Chamber opened with a soft hiss, revealing a space so vast it seemed to swallow their small group. The chamber curved upward in a perfect sphere, with thousands of seats arranged in concentric circles. Each seat held a delegate from a different world, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Some floated in specialized environmental suits, others sat in pools of liquid methane, and a few existed as pure energy contained in crystalline matrices. At the chamber's center, a raised platform awaited them. Chancellor Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire presided over the assembly, his tall, ethereal form radiating an aura of ancient authority. His species had been among the first to achieve faster-than-light travel, and their wisdom was respected throughout the galaxy. Elena's team took their positions on the platform as Chancellor Kethvar's melodic voice filled the chamber through the universal translators. "We gather today to hear the petition of the species that calls itself humanity from the planet they name Earth. They seek membership in our federation." A wave of clicking, humming, and various other sounds rippled through the assembly. Elena recognized it as polite interest mixed with skepticism. She had studied the recordings of previous admission ceremonies, and this reaction was neither particularly welcoming nor hostile. Dr. Webb stepped forward first, activating their holographic display. Images of Earth appeared in the air above them, showing blue oceans, green continents, and white clouds swirling in perfect harmony. "Honored delegates," he began, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. "We come before you as representatives of a young species, eager to learn and contribute to the galactic community." The presentation continued with humanity's greatest achievements. They showed the eradication of diseases that had plagued their species for millennia, the unification of their world under a single peaceful government, and their rapid advancement in space technology. Webb displayed their clean fusion reactors, their efficient food production systems, and their remarkable ability to adapt to hostile environments. Elena took over as the presentation shifted to their exploration efforts. "In just 50 years since achieving spaceflight, we have established colonies on 12 worlds and built mining operations in 16 asteroid fields. Our scientists have developed new terraforming techniques that can transform barren worlds into gardens in half the time of traditional methods." Lieutenant Chen demonstrated their quantum communication network, which allowed instantaneous contact across vast distances without the delays that plagued other civilizations. Their medical advances had extended human lifespan to nearly 2 centuries while maintaining perfect health throughout. As the presentation concluded, Elena felt a surge of pride. They had shown the galaxy that humanity deserved a place among the stars. The evidence was overwhelming. They were technologically capable, peaceful, and ready to contribute to the greater good. Chancellor Kethvar rose slowly, his expression unreadable. The chamber fell silent as thousands of beings awaited his words. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of eons. "We have reviewed your species application and supporting materials. We have studied your history, examined your technology, and observed your behavior patterns." He paused, and Elena felt her heart racing. The Stellar Federation hereby rejects humanity's petition for membership. The words hit Elena like a physical blow. Around her, she could hear Dr. Webb's sharp intake of breath and Lieutenant Chen's whispered no. Captain Torres stepped forward slightly, his hand instinctively moving toward his sidearm before he caught himself. The words hit Elena like a physical blow. Around her, she could hear Dr. Webb's sharp intake of breath and Lieutenant Chen's whispered no. Captain Torres stepped forward slightly, his hand instinctively moving toward his sidearm before he caught himself. The reasons for this decision are numerous, Chancellor Cathfar continued, his voice echoing in the stunned silence. Your species demonstrates an alarming propensity for violence. Your historical records show continuous warfare spanning your entire recorded history. Even your unification came only after a devastating global conflict that claimed millions of lives. Ambassador Thale of the Centurion Republic added his voice to the judgment. Your technology, while impressive for such a young species, is crude and inefficient compared to Federation standards. Your terraforming methods, while faster, cause irreparable damage to planetary ecosystems. Your quantum communication system interferes with established networks used by proper civilizations. Elena found her voice. Honored Chancellor, if you would allow us to address these concerns. There is nothing to address, Cathfar interrupted. Your species is too chaotic, too unpredictable, and too dangerous to be trusted with Federation technology and knowledge. You have not earned the right to stand among civilized beings. The judgment continued with devastating precision. They cited humanity's environmental destruction of Earth, their tendency toward expansion and conquest, and their emotional decision-making processes. Every achievement Elena's team had presented was dismissed as either primitive or dangerous. Furthermore, announced Chancellor Cathfar, humanity is hereby forbidden from entering any Federation-controlled space. Your ships will be turned away at all border checkpoints, and any attempt to establish unauthorized colonies in Federation territory will be met with appropriate force. As security escorts approached their platform, Elena felt something she had never experienced before, a cold, burning fury that went deeper than anger. She looked around the chamber at the thousands of beings who had just condemned her entire species based on prejudice and fear. You're making a mistake, she said, her voice cutting through the murmur of dismissive sounds filling the chamber. You're judging us by our past while ignoring our potential. You're so afraid of what we might become that you refuse to see what we already are. Chancellor Cathfar's expression remained unchanged. The decision is final. Return to your insignificant world and trouble us no more. The journey back to Earth took 3 months, but the news of their rejection had reached home within hours thanks to their quantum communication system. Elena expected to find a world in mourning, a civilization crushed by the weight of galactic rejection. Instead, she found something else entirely. President Maria Santos met them at the spaceport, her expression grim but determined. Commander Vasquez, your report has been received and analyzed. The World Council has reached a unanimous decision. Elena braced herself for the worst. Were they being blamed for the failure? Would humanity retreat into isolation? We're going to prove them wrong, President Santos said simply. Every single one of them. The next months saw the most remarkable transformation in human history. The rejection by the Stellar Federation had accomplished something that no human leader had ever managed. It had united every person on Earth behind a single purpose. The insult had cut so deep that it transcended every petty difference between nations, corporations, and individuals. The Terra Ascendant Project was announced 6 months later. Every human colony, every research facility, every industrial complex was reorganized around a single goal: building a civilization that would make the Stellar Federation regret their dismissal. Dr. Webb threw himself into improving their terraforming technology, determined to prove that human methods were not only faster but better. Lieutenant Chen led a team of quantum physicists in developing communication systems that would make Federation networks look like smoke signals. Captain Torres was promoted to admiral and tasked with designing ships that could outrun, outfight, and outmaneuver anything in the galaxy. Elena found herself appointed as the first director of external relations for the newly formed human commonwealth. Her mandate was simple: prepare for the day when the Stellar Federation would come begging for humanity's help. As she stood in her new office, looking out at the construction of humanity's first truly massive space station, Elena allowed herself a bitter smile. The Federation had wanted to keep humanity small and insignificant. Instead, they had given them something far more dangerous than membership. They had given them motivation. From outcasts to overlords. 50 years had passed since the Great Rejection, and the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the HMS Defiance, watching as her fleet emerged from quantum-fold space at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Before them lay New Horizon, humanity's latest colony world, where a city of 10 million beings thrived under artificial auroras that painted the sky in colors that never existed in nature. Sarah was Elena Vasquez's chosen successor, trained from childhood to understand both the opportunities and the responsibilities that came with humanity's rise to power. At 35, she commanded the largest military force in known space, but her greatest weapon was not firepower. It was the loyalty of species that the Stellar Federation had abandoned. Admiral, called Captain Jake Morrison from the communications station, "We're receiving a priority transmission from Earth. It's marked as urgent from the Prime Minister's office." Sarah nodded, her expression serious. In the 50 years since the rejection, humanity had learned to take urgent communications very seriously. They had built their empire on the foundation of never being caught unprepared again. A holographic image of Prime Minister Liu appeared before her. His face was grim, but Sarah could see something else in his expression, a satisfaction that had been building for decades. "Admiral Chen," he began without preamble, "the Stellar Federation has officially requested a meeting. Chancellor Kethvar himself wants to discuss what he calls mutual cooperation opportunities." Sarah felt a cold smile cross her face. She had been waiting for this moment her entire career. "What's their situation, Prime Minister?" "Bad," Liu replied. "The Andromedans have broken through the Federation's outer defenses. Their war fleet is advancing toward Federation core worlds, and their technology is apparently superior to anything the Federation has encountered. They're losing badly." The irony was not lost on Sarah. The same Federation that had dismissed humanity as too violent and chaotic was now facing an enemy that made humans look peaceful by comparison. The Andromedans were a machine intelligence from another galaxy, spreading across space like a virus, consuming entire civilizations and converting their resources into more war machines. "What are your orders, Prime Minister?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. "The Commonwealth Council has voted. We'll hear what they have to say. But the terms will be ours to set. Commander Vasquez will be leading the diplomatic mission. You'll provide military escort and perspective." Sarah's smile widened. Elena Vasquez was now 87 years old, but her mind remained as sharp as ever. She had spent 5 decades building the intelligence network and diplomatic relationships that had made the human commonwealth possible. If anyone deserved to face the Federation from a position of strength, it was her. 3 weeks later, Sarah's fleet arrived at Nexus Prime. The once magnificent space station showed signs of the strain the Federation was under. Ships damaged in fighting with the Andromedans crowded the repair bays, and the perfect formations that had once impressed a young Elena Vasquez were now chaotic clusters of vessels preparing for desperate battles. The Grand Assembly Chamber had changed as well. Where once thousands of delegates had gathered in perfect harmony, now less than half the seats were filled. Many species had withdrawn from the Federation, either conquered by the Andromedans or choosing to seek protection elsewhere. A significant number had joined the human commonwealth, bringing with them technologies and perspectives that had made humanity even stronger. Elena Vasquez entered the chamber with the slow, dignified pace of someone who had earned every gray hair and every line on her face. Behind her walked Sarah, no longer the young lieutenant who had witnessed the original rejection, but a fleet admiral whose ships could reduce entire worlds to ash. Chancellor Cathvar looked older too, his ethereal glow dimmed by stress and failure. When he spoke, his voice lacked the confident authority that had once dismissed humanity's dreams. "Commander Vasquez," he began, then caught himself. "I apologize. Director Vasquez, we welcome you back to Nexus Prime." Alina's response was measured and cold. "Thank you, Chancellor. Though I must point out that 50 years ago, you made it very clear that humans were not welcome here. I trust circumstances have changed sufficiently to override that prohibition."